We're starting with a discussion about Millie Bobby Brown because she recently announced her engagement on social media to Bon Jovi's son, Jake Bon Jovi. I didn't know that there was a different spelling to the stage name.
The stage name is different.
Apparently there is.
The stage name is different.
And as you can imagine, everybody freaked out because she's still a teenager, technically. She's 19. And everyone is saying, you know, they're debating whether this is too young to get engaged or to go into marriage. Her boyfriend is 20, so not that far off. Thankfully, I haven't seen any insane takes that he is grooming her because she's a teenager and he's not. Yeah. But I know that there are some people crazy enough out there to say that.
Yep.
But here were some responses to the announcement. One said, "Isn't she still basically a child? This really is some Stranger Things."
This is where me and Kellen, when Kellen would normally be on today, me and him disagree on a lot of this stuff. He thinks that the age of majority should be raised and that kids are immature for a longer period of time now. I say no. If they want student debt forgiveness, we can leave that age firmly at 18. We are not raising it, and we're not taking. It's like we're making kids more and more. We're taking away the culpability from kids.
High Voltage 75 said, "Thanks for the cute of the day. I need a little levity while I do my taxes."
Oh, I'm with you, bro. Like I just had to get mine finished.
While you're getting robbed by the government.
Like so it's really funny too because I was paying my taxes, right? And I'm like, I can't make as many jokes as I make about tax heroes and the Fed and all that stuff without paying them. Otherwise, I'm target number one, right?
Yeah.
Like so
you better be meticulous about it.
Yeah. So I was paying my taxes, and then of course I found out that I didn't have that form I needed. I found the form, I refiled, I got it all done, but I did so under extreme protest the entire time.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to go over her announcement. She posted a picture of her wearing the ring, and they're on a beach. It's very stereotypical.
She have kids right away,
and it's sweet. She also had a Taylor Swift lyric in the caption, which is ironic, given that we speculated Taylor Swift's recent breakup was over either her wanting to get married and Joe Alwyn not wanting to get married, or Joe Alwyn proposing and her rejecting the proposal.
Do you think, so she's married to a guy who's also somewhat known, right? So, but she's going to have way more money than him.
I would say like...
Prenup. Get that prenuptial. Also,
a lot of the comments were like, get that prenup, girl. Like, she's definitely probably more well off than him, but he is an actor.
Just post pictures of Adele like slinking out of the office when after she loses like $100 million to her husband.
But look, I don't want them or anyone to get divorced.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, but when you're in Hollywood, it's the exception, not the rule, to get divorced if you get married at all these days.
It depends on the level. I really do believe this is literally all anecdotal and it's just by my own scrolling, but it really does feel like if they're television stars and they work regularly and they're not part of the big movie scape, that they seem to have relationships that go a lot longer. Like when I'm scrolling IMDb and I'm looking at the marriages, which I do, like when I'm looking up information on actors, it feels like the ones who work regularly in TV and seem to stay out of all of the drama around film and the big budget stuff, they seem to do better.
Well, Millie Bobby Brown does seem like a happy, well-adjusted person. Yeah. But she is a pretty big name in
right now. She is absolutely
in entertainment, at least right now, even though she's been in mostly TV and not movies yet.
And now she
still has a long career ahead of her, and a lot of people who are going to try to convince her that she's better off going like living on her own as a spinster, right?
I'm picturing her asking Henry Cavill because remember Enola Holmes? She's like, Henry, what should I do? Should I get married? He's like, leave me alone.
He's like, do not ask me personal questions. Get her out of my trailer.
Out.
So then Jake Bon Jovi posted their own
he's gonna have an inheritance that's gonna be huge.
All of the comments on his post were positive. I saw the negativity on hers,
of course,
which is interesting because it's all the girls who say they support other girls, but the second that a girl steps out of line and crosses a boundary in their mind, then it's open season on them.
But they're gonna say they're doing it to look out for her. That's what they're saying. They're doing it under the guise of looking out for her.
Yeah, looking out for her best interests, even though they don't know her.
Yep.
I did see one comment that was defending her against all the criticism. They said, I don't agree with people saying that Millie is too young to get married. My cousin is married at 19 and now 24 and happily married. Same thing with my grandmother and older family relatives. People shouldn't dictate what age to marry at as long as you're older than 18. My mom was married at 21, had me at 22. I don't see why people think it's young. Sorry, but some people just want a family, and I think of commitment, and I respect that. I don't think people should insert their not needed opinions.
I mean, I disagree with that part. People are allowed to have their opinions, but
if you make your relationship public, it's obviously going to be open to criticism or praise or what have you. I'm sure they're aware of that. I just know that Jacob Sartorius is kicking himself right now.
One person says, this is cute, but she's 19. She hasn't even had 3 summers as an adult yet. But we've had a couple of reasonable discussions lately between this show and people off air about the idea of like how long does a couple stay together before they just decide to get married? Like, what's the right length of time?
It also depends, obviously, on the situation, the circumstances, and how old the two people are.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we're used to seeing in this culture 2 young people choosing commitment at such a young age, especially like staying together for a long time. They've been together for 3 years now, it sounds like. And it's interesting that she's receiving all the flack for it, where the guy is getting the positivity.
It's kind of like that all the videos of the guy who's dating Bill Gates' daughter, and that people make these hilarious videos about how he's cheesing in every photo because he knows he's going to marry into like the richest family ever.
Well, I mean, that guy, isn't he some kind of child prodigy that ended up like working at Google?
Probably
and, like, he
something
went to
like that, yeah.
Stanford and stuff like that. I mean, it takes a certain type of person to edge their way into that situation. But here are some other responses. Come on, Millie. 19 years old is too young to get married. Wait a little longer.
They never give an actual age.
But specify how much longer.
They never actually give an age. Like, okay, this is the right amount of years.
Because I'm constantly seeing tweets that are like, oh, I'm 27 and I still feel like I'm a child. And it's like, maybe look into that a little deeper and think like there might be something wrong with your mindset and not the mindset of somebody who just started their 20s but feels like they're ready for adult life. Right? There might be something wrong with your mindset about aging, not theirs.
But that's an inherent problem to the internet, where people you don't know and have no interaction with are now allowed to have hot takes about your life. Like, a lot of people don't even like getting hot take advice from people who know them well, let alone from people who don't know them at all.
Yeah, I mean, ordinarily someone talking shit about you would be behind your back, not in front of your face.
It was more dignified when it was like that.
Yeah.
I'm half kidding, but like it's
no,
like,
I agree.
Like in a lot of ways, I'm like, I don't really care what people on the internet are going to say to my behind my back because I'm not reading it. But also, it's like, if you're a public figure, it's a little bit of a different circumstance, especially if you're someone like her, who is a person of interest to millions upon millions of people. I do think, however, that for her, if she went and had kids and started a family, she could be a great role model for young women who don't want to go down the same route as what every other aspect of society keeps telling them to do now.
Yeah. I mean, surrounding Millie Bobby Brown in particular, there's been a lot of conversation about what is age appropriate, especially because of how stylists have dressed her in the past when she was underage, how they do makeup on her, how they do her hair in a way that just has always seemed too mature for her age. And now we're having a conversation about her getting engaged, which is one thing I would say is not a problem at all. Yeah. What is a problem is her having plunging necklines that go down to her belly button at like 15 years old on a red carpet. But that was where everyone was cheering her on and saying it's a girl boss move. Now when she's in love and thinks that she wants to embark on a long-term commitment with this person she's with, that's when it's a problem. That's when it's too mature and too adult for her. Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Plus, I get that, because she became famous when she was like 13 years old or so, she's always going to be imprinted on people's minds as that first impression when she was that age. And people are, of course, going to make the obvious jokes like, because her character was literally named 11, aren't you 11?
Yeah,
aren't you
said
12?
That. Here's another person says, why are they saying Millie Bobby Brown got engaged to Bon Jovi's son? Like, whoa, what kind of changes things? I'm reading this word for word. What kind of changes things they build in an empire over there? Nepo baby plus child worker is a crazy combo and works when you look at it from the side of generational wealth. I couldn't really understand what the first part was about. I read it word for word. I wasn't misreading that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a funny thing because I guarantee you, Bon Jovi's kid's coming into some money.
Everyone pretends that they're anti-arranged marriage until essentially an arranged marriage happens and it works out. Like, this is a couple of young people that have been in the entertainment industry from birth and have essentially been arranged as a couple. I know that they are genuinely in love. Like, that's a different thing. But they would never have met or connected in any way had they not been inserted in this industry from a very young age.
You know that they actually did a really interesting version of arranged marriage in the show Royal Pains, where this character basically she's part of an arranged marriage and she realizes that she doesn't want it. And then the story follows her character's name's Divya. And it follows the typical Hollywood line where they're like, she realizes that, because she was raised in America. So this tradition is kind of archaic and weird to her, but it's just always been part of her life. And she ends up being disowned by her family by not marrying this guy. And the show handles it pretty tactfully, but then they end up falling in love and getting married at the end of the show.
Got a chat from Clef the Misfit. It's weird how Millie Bobby Brown is like the standard activist celebrity on almost every issue, even being a UN shill, but it's somehow based on family. I don't know what to make of this.
I think it would be based on family if she was having kids. I don't know if I buy that just getting married at 19 necessarily qualifies her as based yet.
I know what to make of it, and it's just that she is a young girl, and all young girls, despite what the media will have you think or have them think, they all have the same desires deep down. And most of the time, what young women dream about is that, happy, ending of being in love and having a home together and starting a family together.
Do you think that's gone?
Not that complicated.
Do you think that's less common now, given all of the work Hollywood has put in to get rid of that type of narrative from society by calling it patriarchal and oppressive to women?
If they can't excavate it from Millie Bobby Brown, who has been raised in that culture, then it's impossible. And that's like the hidden white pill.
That's kind of a white pill.
You can't trick people out of their instincts.
Another one says 19-year-olds getting engaged in the military. 19-year-olds getting engaged is so military spouse coded like twin just vibe. I'm reading these word for word. I'm not screwing this up.
They want her to just vibe, which means, if we make that explicit, just vibing in your late teens and 20s means being in a ton of throwaway, meaningless relationships, like being
Finding
a serial
yourself.
monogamist, using other people as instruments of pleasure or of self-discovery or self-mythologizing, use them as accessories and not look for meaning in those relationships.
Clef says, yo, I sent a $20 super chat. We read it.
Nate Garland said, my wife and I were both 21 when we got married. We've been married for almost 11 years with 3 kids now. Never looked back. You have to choose to grow up.
That's awesome.
That's true. And there were a lot of people replying to this situation saying they got married young, and they cringe at the type of people they were when they were younger, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a fully formed person before committing to somebody.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is that you're supposed to support each other despite, your flaws.
Can you explain the term situationships?
Situationship.
Yeah. They're talking about it in the chat.
It's funny that anyone even came up with the word situationship, because all it describes is one person wanting commitment and the other person not wanting commitment. That's all it is an unrequited love. And it's a really sad thing. And coming up with some meme word for it really takes the seriousness out of the situation. And usually, I'm sorry, but the case is a situationship is perpetrated by the guy, because guys are the ones delaying commitment generally. Think
that's still true?
I mean, it happens both ways, but obviously guys have less incentive to commit these days. And there are reasons like that, like how the courts favor women and all those things. But it's also just not instinctual for a guy to settle down as early as women want to settle down. So situationships are usually because the guy doesn't want to settle down with one girl and he wants to screw around with a bunch of other girls. And she feels like she's devoted to just him. It's a stupid decision, but it happens all the time.
I'm going to refrain from having an opinion on this one because I don't know enough about the current culture other than the fact that it seems like I hear, depending on what your computer algorithm tells you, you know, there's women saying that it's men that don't want to settle down and men are F-boys and they're cheaters. And it's men saying that women have too many options and they have unrealistic, you know, expectations. And everyone's talking at each other and not with each other.
It's constant vitriol and I'm so sick of it and people grifting off of it. Like I literally saw a YouTube short from a woman saying that men are better in every conceivable way and came up with a bunch of reasons why she thinks that women are. It wasn't really praising men. It was kind of just putting down women to make men feel better about themselves, which never works either way. If it's misandry, it's wrong. If it's misogyny, it's wrong. And everyone knows it. But then her next posts are all about her skincare line that you should buy if you don't want to have your T levels affected by the products you use. She was like, all of you are low T and inferior men, so you should probably buy my products that I'm selling you, my special soaps that don't contribute to you being full of estrogen and being a soy boy.
Maybe the best thing we can do is
it's like the most blatant grift.
And maybe the best thing we can do is to promote something like what Millie Bobby Brown is doing to get people away from the polyamorous and all of the weird things that people are trying to push today as normal.
Situationships, I know, are more common in real life than polyamory or whatever gross stuff people have come up with. But it's like, the situationships wouldn't exist if women made smarter decisions about who they're allowing access.
I mean, I think both genders could do better about it. In a lot of ways, I still feel like most of it is a lot of everyone having legitimate concerns, but they're talking at one another. They're not talking to one another. Also, I do want to point out that I do have a cringe of the day because there was somebody who pointed out, they said Brett for sure had hair like that in the 90s. I did, in fact.
Hair like Jake Bon Jovi's hair.
Yes.
Bleach blonde and split in the middle.
Yeah, here guys. That was real.
Zoom in on your.
That was actually, it was parted right down the middle. Dude. It was dyed blonde. That is real hair.
The roots as well.
The roots are showing. Exactly. Yep.
What is it called? The butt cut?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
why is it called the butt cut?
I was on my way to perform at a boy band cover. I'm sure to do a cover boy band at that time. Right then.
Cover.
I can't leave it on the screen for too long. It's too awful.
You have like every hairstyle.
I have had just about every hairstyle in my life, but that is my favorite is I literally have a photo of my very first concussion from skating where I have a friend who's apparently a sociopath and took a picture of me while I was unconscious at the age of 12, and my hair it was like that hair, but it had been cut short, so it just looked like I had frosted tips.
Return to tradition.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.